What's up, Warriors Nation? Welcome back to Warriors News Fan Report, your home for the latest updates, breaking news, and in-depth analysis on our beloved Golden State Warriors. I'm here to bring you everything you need to know about the Dubs, from roster moves to game breakdowns. And today I've got something special that's going to get you fired up about the future of this franchise. Before we dive in, let me ask you something. When was the last time you witnessed a performance that made you jump off your couch? That made you believe in the depth of this roster. That reminded you why the Warriors front office continues to be one of the best in the league at finding talent in unexpected places. Because what happened earlier this week wasn't just another game. It was a statement. It was a glimpse into the kind of depth that separates contenders from pretenders in this league. You know, there's something magical about the NBA season. Every night brings new storylines, new heroes, new moments that remind us why we love this game. And this season has been particularly exciting for basketball fans around the world. We've seen rookies coming in and making immediate impacts. We've seen established stars continuing to dominate. And we've seen teams figuring out their identities as the campaign progresses. The 2025-26 season is shaping up to be one for the ages, and the Warriors are right in the thick of it. Let's talk about the rookie class for a moment, because understanding the context of what's happening across the league helps us appreciate what's unfolding right here in the Bay Area. This draft class has been impressive from day one. VJ Edgecombe has been stealing headlines with his explosive athleticism and scoring ability. Con Newport has shown why he was so highly regarded coming out of college. Jeremiah Fears has been fearless, living up to his name with confident performances night after night. These young players have come into the league ready to contribute immediately. And that's exactly what makes this era of NBA basketball so exciting. But here's the thing about rookies, especially those who weren't lottery picks. Those who weren't the ones with massive shoe deals before they even played their first professional game. They have to earn everything. Every minute on the court is a battle. Every opportunity is precious. And when that opportunity comes, they have to be ready to seize it with both hands. That's the difference between players who stick around in this league and those who fade away after a season or two. Now, the Warriors have always had a knack for developing talent. Think about it. This organization took Draymond Green in the second round and turned him into a Hall of Famer. They've consistently found contributors throughout the draft, players who fit their system, who understand the Warriors' way of playing basketball. It's not just about individual talent with this franchise. It's about basketball IQ. It's about versatility. It's about being able to defend multiple positions and make the right play on offense. That's the Warriors' DNA. And speaking of the Warriors system, let's talk about what makes it so special. Steve Kerr has built something remarkable here in Golden State. It's a system that values ball movement, player movement, spacing, and most importantly, trust. Every player on the floor has to be ready to make plays. Whether that's hitting an open three, making the extra pass, or switching defensively and holding their ground. It's a demanding system, but for players who buy in, who understand what's being asked of them, it's a system that allows them to showcase their skills in ways that might not happen on other teams. This season has been particularly interesting for the Warriors because we're seeing the evolution of this roster in real time. With the championship core getting older, with new pieces being integrated into the system, there's been a fascinating dynamic playing out. How do you maintain your competitive edge while also developing the next generation of Warriors basketball? How do you balance winning now with building for the future? These are the questions that great organizations answer successfully, and the Warriors are showing once again that they know how to navigate these challenges. Earlier this week, we saw a perfect example of this organizational depth. This ability to have players ready when their number is called. The Warriors faced the Sacramento Kings in what was always going to be a challenging matchup. Sacramento has been building something interesting with their young core, and they always bring energy when they face Golden State. But this particular game had an added layer of intrigue because the Warriors were dealing with some significant absences from their lineup. Stephen Curry wasn't available. Neither was Jimmy Butler, two of the team's primary offensive engines. Two players who command so much attention from opposing defenses were out of the lineup. Now, for some teams, losing your top offensive weapons would be a death sentence. It would mean accepting defeat before the game even starts. But the Warriors aren't built that way. This organization has always prided itself on next man up mentality. on having players who are ready to step up when the opportunity presents itself. And that's exactly what happened against Sacramento. With Curry and Butler out, someone had to step forward. Someone had to embrace the opportunity to show what they could do with expanded minutes and increased responsibility. Someone had to prove that the Warriors' depth wasn't just theoretical, but real and tangible. And boy, did we get an answer to that question. Let me take you through what unfolded at Chase Center that night, because this wasn't just a good performance. This was the kind of breakout game that changes how coaching staffs view a player, that changes rotation patterns, that announces to the league that a new contributor has arrived. The energy in the building was different from the opening tip. You could feel that someone was ready to make their mark. The player I'm talking about has been in the rotation all season, but primarily in a specific role. His job has been clear. Get out on the perimeter, defend the opposing team's best wing players, provide energy, and knock down open shots when they come your way. It's a valuable role, the kind of role that every championship team needs filled by reliable players. But what we saw against Sacramento was something beyond that defined role. We saw a player who was ready to do more, who was prepared for this moment, over 35 minutes on the floor. This young Warrior put together a performance that had everyone in the building on their feet. We're talking about a stat line that would make any player proud. But for a rookie, for a second-round pick who's still learning the NBA game, it was nothing short of spectacular. 30 points. Let that sink in for a moment. 30 points in an NBA game when your team's stars are out and the opposing defense knows they can focus more attention on you. But it wasn't just the point total that impressed. It was the efficiency. Shooting 10 of 15 from the field means you're making the right decisions. You're taking good shots. You're not forcing anything. And going 5 of 8 from three-point range, that's the kind of shooting that opens up everything else in the Warriors' offense. When you can knock down threes at that rate, defenses have to respect you. They have to close out harder. And that creates opportunities for everyone else on the floor. The complete stat line tells the story of a well-rounded performance. 7 rebounds showing he was active on the glass, competing for every 50-50 ball. 3 assists demonstrating that he wasn't just hunting his own shot, he was making plays for teammates. A steal highlighting his defensive activity, his ability to disrupt the opposing offense. And just 1 turnover in 35 minutes of action, which speaks to his decision-making and composure under pressure. I'm talking about Will Rich, the 56th overall pick in the 2025 NBA Draft, who announced his arrival as a legitimate NBA contributor with this performance against the Kings. And Warriors fans, this is exactly the kind of development we should be celebrating because it represents everything this organization does well. Let's talk about Will Richard's journey, because understanding where he came from helps us appreciate what we're seeing now. Richard spent time at Belmont before transferring to Florida, where he became a key piece of a national championship team. Think about that for a second. He's already won at the highest level of college basketball. He knows what it takes to contribute to a championship squad. That experience, that winning pedigree, is invaluable. At Florida, Richard averaged 13.3 points, 4.6 rebounds, 1.9 assists, and 1.7 steals per game. He shot 48.7% from the field and 35.9% from three. Those are solid numbers, but they don't tell the complete story. What made Richard special at Florida was his versatility, his ability to guard multiple positions, his willingness to do the dirty work that doesn't always show up in the box score. Playing alongside future NBA players like Walter Clayton Jr. and Elijah Martin, and competing against top prospects every night in the SEC, Richard developed the kind of toughness and basketball IQ that translates to professional success. He wasn't the most heralded prospect in that Florida team, but he was arguably the most reliable. When the Gators needed a stop, Richard was there. When they needed someone to knock down a corner three, Richard was ready. That's the kind of player who succeeds in the NBA. When the Warriors selected Richard with the 56th pick, there wasn't a ton of fanfare. Second-round picks rarely generate major headlines. But if you paid attention to what the Warriors front office was saying, if you listened to their evaluation of Richard's game, you could see why they were excited. They saw a 6'5" wing with defensive versatility, someone who could guard positions 2 through 4, someone with a developing three-point shot and the competitive fire to keep improving. And through the first 7 games of the season before that Sacramento matchup, Richard had been exactly what the Warriors hoped he'd be. He was averaging 9.1 points, 2.4 rebounds, 1.6 assists, and 1.3 steals per game. But here's what really jumped out. He was shooting 64.7% from the field and 50% from three-point range. Now, those percentages will likely come down as the season progresses and the sample size increases, but they indicate that Richard has been taking good shots and converting them at an impressive rate. What the Sacramento game showed us is that Richard isn't just a role player who can give you solid minutes. He's a player with legitimate offensive upside, someone who can create his own shot when needed, someone who can carry the scoring load when the team's stars are unavailable. That's a massive discovery for the Warriors because depth scoring has been a question mark at various points in recent seasons. Let's break down what makes Richard so valuable to this Warriors team. First and foremost, it's his defense. In today's NBA, if you can't defend multiple positions, if you can't switch across different matchups, you're going to have a hard time staying on the floor in crucial moments. Richard has the size, the lateral quickness, and the instincts to guard opposing wings effectively. He can handle quick guards on the perimeter, and he has the strength to hold his ground against bigger forwards. That versatility is gold in Steve Kerr's defensive scheme. Offensively, Richard's three-point shooting is his calling card. The Warriors system is built around spacing, around having 5 players on the floor who can knock down threes and force defenses to guard the entire court. When Richard is hitting threes at a 50% clip, even if that's likely to regress toward 40% as the season continues, he becomes a legitimate threat that defenses have to account for. And when defenses have to worry about Richard spotting up in the corner, that creates driving lanes for other players. That opens up the paint for cutters. That makes everything else easier. But what impressed me most about Richard's 30-point performance wasn't just the shooting. It was the confidence, the poise, the willingness to take big shots in big moments. There's a mental component to stepping up when your team needs you most, and Richard showed he has that. He didn't shrink from the moment. He embraced it. That's the kind of mentality that championship teams need from their role players. Now, I want to address the elephant in the room. Despite Richard's incredible performance, the Warriors fell to the Kings 121-116. Russell Westbrook put together a monster triple-double with 23 points, 16 rebounds, and 10 assists to lead Sacramento to victory. It was a tough loss, the kind that stings because you had a player step up and deliver a career performance. But it wasn't enough to secure the win. However, and this is important, we can't let the loss overshadow what Richard accomplished. In a season where every team will face adversity, where injuries and absences will test roster depth, having a player emerge as a legitimate scoring option is huge. The Warriors discovered something valuable about their roster that night. They learned that Richard can be more than just a defensive specialist. He can be a two-way contributor who impacts winning in multiple ways. Looking at the bigger picture, Richard's development adds a fascinating dimension to the Warriors' playoff aspiration. This team is built to compete for championships, but to do that in today's NBA, you need depth. You need players beyond your top 3 or 4 who can step up and deliver in playoff situations. Richard is proving he can be one of those players. His combination of defensive versatility and offensive efficiency makes him exactly the kind of role player that championship teams lean on. Think about the Warriors' championship runs. Think about the players who made crucial contributions beyond the obvious stars. Andre Iguodala winning Finals MVP as a role player. Sean Livingston providing steady play off the bench. Gary Payton, too, becoming a defensive menace in key playoff moments. The Warriors have always understood that championships are won with depth, with players who embrace their roles and execute them at a high level. Richard is showing he can be the next player in that lineage as we move forward in the season. The key for Richard will be consistency. Can he maintain this level of play? Can he continue to impact games on both ends of the floor? Can he handle the inevitable ups and downs that every rookie experiences? These are the questions that will determine whether Richard becomes a core piece of this Warriors team or just a player who had a nice stretch early in his career. But based on everything we've seen so far, based on his college pedigree, based on his work ethic and basketball IQ, I'm optimistic about Richard's trajectory. He's in the perfect situation with the perfect coaching staff to maximize his potential. Steve Kerr and his assistants have a proven track record of developing young players. of putting them in positions to succeed, of gradually increasing their responsibilities as they prove they're ready for more. The Warriors' next challenge comes Friday night against the Denver Nuggets, and it will be fascinating to see how Kerr deploys Richard after his breakout performance. Will he get another start? Will he see similar minutes? Or will the coaching staff bring him back to his regular rotation role now that the stars are back? Whatever the decision, Richard has earned the trust of his coaches and teammates. He's shown he's ready when his number is called. For Warriors fans, Richard's emergence should be incredibly exciting. We're watching a second-round pick develop into a valuable NBA contributor right before our eyes. We're seeing the Warriors player development system work its magic once again. And most importantly, we're seeing this team build the kind of depth that will be crucial come playoff time. 2025-26 season is still young, and there's so much basketball left to be played. But nights like the one Will Richard had against Sacramento remind us why we love this team, why we believe in this organization, why we're confident that the Warriors can compete with anyone in the league. It's not just about the superstars, though they're obviously crucial. It's about having players throughout the roster who can step up, who can contribute, who can help you win games in different ways. So here's my analysis after watching Richard's performance and seeing how he's developed through these first weeks of the season. The Warriors have found themselves a legitimate rotation player who can impact winning on both ends of the floor. Richard's defensive versatility makes him valuable in any matchup. His three-point shooting gives the Warriors another weapon in their offensive arsenal. And his competitive mentality, his willingness to embrace big moments, suggests he has the makeup to succeed in high-pressure situations. Moving forward, I expect Richard's role to continue evolving. There will be games where he plays 20 minutes and focuses primarily on defense. There will be other games where the Warriors need his scoring, and he gets 30-plus minutes. That's the nature of being a role player in the NBA. But the key is that Richard has proven he can handle whatever is asked of him. He's proven he belongs on this stage. Now I want to hear from you, Warriors Nation. What did you think of Will Richard's 30-point explosion? Do you see him as a long-term piece for this franchise? How do you think Steve Kerr should utilize him moving forward? Should he be in the closing lineup in certain matchups? Drop your thoughts in the comments below because I love hearing from you. I love the discussions we have in this community, and your perspectives always add value to these conversations. And let me ask you this, where do you see Richard's ceiling? Is he a solid role player who gives you 12 to 15 minutes a night? Or does he have the potential to become a starter-level contributor, someone who could average double figures and provide elite perimeter defense? I'm leaning toward the optimistic side because everything about Richard's game suggests he's just scratching the surface of his potential. If you enjoyed this breakdown, if you found value in this analysis of Will Richard's emergence as a legitimate NBA contributor, do me a favor and smash that like button. It helps the algorithm push this content to more Warriors fans. It helps us grow this community. And it lets me know that you're enjoying the content I'm creating for you. And if you haven't already subscribed to Warriors News Fan Report, what are you waiting for? Hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss an update. This is your home for everything Warriors, from breaking news to in-depth analysis, from game previews to post-game reaction. We're building something special here, a community of passionate Warriors fans who love discussing this team. And I want you to be part of it. Share this video with your fellow Warriors fans, with your friends who maybe haven't been paying attention to Will Richard's development. Let's spread the word about this exciting young player who's making his mark in the league. The more people who understand what Richard brings to this team, the more appreciation there will be for the depth and versatility of this Warriors roster. Before we wrap up, I want to remind everyone that the Warriors face the Nuggets on Friday night, and it's going to be a massive test. Denver is always tough. They're always competitive, and it's going to be interesting to see how this Warriors team responds after that tough loss to Sacramento. Will Richard get another opportunity to showcase his skills? We'll have to wait and see, but you can bet I'll be breaking down everything that happens right here on this channel. Keep supporting the Dubs, keep believing in this roster, and keep coming back to Warriors News Fan Report for all your Golden State Warriors coverage. We're in this together, Warriors Nation, and I can't wait to see where this season takes us. Until next time, let's go, Warriors!